Hello and welcome to the Categorically Romance podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Bree.
And today we have joining us once again is Thule author Stacey Agdern. Stacey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be back.
Well, it's so good to have you back. And today in our episode, we are talking fake November for November's Books Club episode.
I was thinking a lot about this yesterday as we were kind of prepping ideas to talk about. I feel like a year ago, maybe a year ago-ish, I was seeing a lot of people talk about how they were kind of tired of the fake romance tropes. So what are y'all's thoughts? I mean, I do feel like, the last couple of years, especially, I feel like we did see a lot of those tropes. So I could kind of see what people were talking about, but at the same time, I think it's like a god tier trope. What are y'all's thoughts?
Go ahead, Stacey.
So it's interesting because there are so many different, the fake trope is so big, it's such a wide category and it encompasses a lot, right? You've got fake dating, you've got fake engagement, and then the subsection, and then, you've got the subsection of contract related stuff tying into those things to keep those fake situations clear and obvious. And I think there's a sensibility to it that changes over time. People are getting really very analytical about it, if that makes sense. They're finding specifics in the tropes to kind of analyze in the context of the books, and I think that makes it different. I think it makes it fun, and I think it makes it sort of where these characters know exactly what's going on and what they're trying to accomplish and how they end up fake fails and why.
What's a book you've read recently or within the last couple of years that fits the description you just shared?
So the book that I actually brought with me today to read, for the podcast is Mia Henselman's The Friendship Contract.
Oh, okay. So good.
One of the things I loved is the use of the contract in particular. The contract is really not about the sort of the fakeness of the relationship that they're engaging in for public view and the fact that they don't even want to do that. The contract itself is to protect the friendship, and the various incarnations of the contract that they go throughout the course of the book reflects their desire to maintain this friendship that has become so important to them. And because they're attorneys at each stage, they are very self-aware and they analyze this contract.
Well,
and
course,
it's really interesting to watch them do it. It's kind of, it was actually as I was looking through it in terms of trope questions, that's my favorite part of the trope interaction with the book, is that they're very sort of okay, here we are. This is a little nuts. Let's just figure this out. And it forces them to actually sort of deal with their feelings and also the feelings that they're trying to regulate, for lack of a better word.
Okay, so why did they need the fake part of the romance, whatever the fake romance trope is in the book? Why did they need that?
Our female main character, Allegra, is just coming off of a relationship that she thought was about to end in an engagement, but instead, what she found was a ring that belongs to someone else.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mia.
Yeah, and it was and just out of complete coincidence, this is right around the time where she was supposed to take this potential fiance to her brother's wedding.
Okay.
And now she's without a plus one, and her male best friend, who is the main male character in this book, who she's loved for, who they've had this kind of mutual underpinning of feelings that she's never analyzed, that he's been in love with her for years, is who she takes as this plus one to this wedding. And they on the plane to Honolulu, to Hawaii, to where this wedding is taking place, she pulls out a piece of paper and is this relationship is too important for me. I want a contract that sort of preserves our friendship.
Okay, so it has best friends and the fake romance part of it, which is always such an interesting dynamic, I think.
Yep. Exactly. And also it goes into the question of you think about what happens with people who don't know each other well, right? Who are shoved into a fake relationship. In a lot of cases, I think about this all the time, they become fake relationship fails because they get to know each other as people, or at least the best sides of each other during the period of time where they are in this fake or contracted situation. People who don't know each other, people who do know each other, I should say, whether they're people who had dated before before, whether people who had were just best friends for years, they have this sort of benchmark in their head of like how their interactions with this other person will go. So there's sort of sometimes this mental like boundary between them in a lot of ways, you know, like they're not going to fail at this fake relation, this sort of altered contractual situation of a relationship, because they know each other. They know how these interactions are going to go. And of course, this never happens.
Do y'all think that, like, okay, conflict wise, do you feel like there is stronger conflict when you add in the extra like trope or element of, okay, this is like my childhood best friend and like they know me already, but like we don't want to ruin the friendship or whatever, versus do you think there's more conflict when you add in like, okay, this is like my boss or, you know, some person that I met on a dating app or something? I don't know. Like, which one do you think brings like an extra like strong layer to the story?
I wouldn't say it's so much about the conflict as it would be the stakes involved.
Yes,
So
stakes. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, so the childhood best friend, you have the potential of losing that friendship, like in the friendship contract. They've come up with these contracts and versions of this contract to save their childhood friendship, to make sure that doesn't end. Fully aware that the relationship, the romantic relationship, might end. And then your same point, like the boss, that person could lose the best job they've ever had, and the boss could lose the best employee they've ever had, while they take a chance on pretending to be in a relationship for XYZ reasons.
Do you feel like when you think of like fake romances that you've read in the past, isn't it usually like the stakes think that you kind of remember the most? Because it's the reason that it all has to happen in the first place, right?
It depends. I've actually pulled a few different examples of fake relationships, and it made me think about how they can be structured so differently. There's a lot of different reasons for the fake relationship existing in the first place. There's internal reasons, or I don't guess not internal.
Usually an external reason, right?
Yeah, so right. So it could be like they need a date to go somewhere, and it's simple as that. Or in the case of the Cowgirl Surprise Match with Nina Crespo, these two characters have to fake an engagement to hide a wedding for a couple that they know that is kind of the celebrities involved. So the press is snooping around, and they're playing distraction essentially for to make sure that, you know, the press doesn't just swarm this town and ruin their wedding.
Yeah, I was reading a blog yesterday and the blogger kind of wrote some like fake romance, you know, topics or whatever. And she said a reason a lot of times is reputation and pride. And I thought about it, like Laurel Greer has her next Harlequin special edition coming out called Lights, Camera, Wedding. And it's like the heroine gets dumped like within the first couple of pages of the book, but she's on this like reality wedding show and she does, you know, going home to do this whole wedding thing. Like she can't show up without, you know, a partner. So that's when her best friend, enter the best friend trope, you know, she kind of wins him over, like, let's do this together because I can't show up. I have to do this show kind of thing. And of course, there's reasons, you know, there's money involved and that'll help, you know, her business and stuff like that. So I was like, when I read that yesterday, I was like, yeah, it usually is reputation or pride. Like the book that I read to talk with you all about was Wearing His Ring Till Christmas by Nina Singh. And it starts off, it has two New Yorkers, but they meet in Bali. And the heroine, like, she is going to be like a hotel heiress. So she comes for money, but like she's working as like a maid in a hotel, like just kind of making her own way because she loves to travel. Well, a friend that she met over there needed to get back to the States. So she like gave her all her money. So when she meets the hero, he needs like an Italian translator because there's some Italian businessmen that he's meeting over there and he doesn't know Italian. So when he overhears her, he's like, if you help me, I'll pay for you to go back to the States to be with your family for Christmas kind of things. I mean, and you get all of that kind of like right off the bat and then everything else kind of goes in motion. But I was like, you know, it's pretty simple, pretty standard, but I think just depending on the writer and again, like the stakes, like, okay, she wants to go home for Christmas and he wants to help his business get off the ground. Like pretty simple stuff there, but then you see everything, you know, go in motion and it just kind of picks up from there, I think. So then one of the notes that I took down was it works best when both characters are unlikely for a relationship at the time. Like, what do you all think about that?
That seems to fit pretty solidly in at least all the selections that I picked out here. So going back to your original question of is it a tired trope? This Harlequin Blaze that I read, it's Take Me by Cherry Adair. It had the billionaire needs to get married to get money for X reason, and I can see how some would think that was a tired trope. That for some reason there's so many billionaires out there that have these ironclad contracts involved in inheritance or whatever it is, business negotiations that are bent on marriage. That's that's the most important thing that needs to happen for them to get whatever it is they need. So
I actually think that's the larger question. Like, you've got the stakes, right? Whether it's personal, whether it's larger sort of world-based stakes in terms of like what these people go into these fake relationships wanting. But it's also this mindset of one or both of these characters has to, I think, both be thinking about this idea of I'm not in the mood for, I don't want a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there has to be some tangible, actual reason why that's not possible. Whether they're workaholics and busy like crazy, whether they are still healing from another relationship, whether they're just not in the mood to confront the actual aspects of dating. You know, you go back to like the Mia Henselman book, like Allegra has just come from this like, you know, relationship that she thought was going to end in marriage. Granted, she comes to other realizations about their relationship throughout the course of the story, but the bottom line is that she's dealing with this breakup, and the last thing she needs in this universe in her head is another relationship.
Yeah.
Like, that's how she goes into it. And I think like unlikely for sure, but I think also like this idea of this mental block against marriage or relationships. And part of that is the journey that the characters go through in the story. Side note, the conversations about a reality show wedding made me remember one of K.M. Jackson's books from like, oh gosh, like the heroine, I want to say like she was the producer of the show, or like she was trying to organize, and then all of a sudden the relationship fell apart and she was stuck in the middle, like, what do I do? How do I freaking deal with the show? And then she's like, I'm just going to do it myself. And I forget the title of the book because it's going to drive me nuts for the next however long.
Reputation. It is whose reputation is it, right? Talking about reality shows. Parental Guidance by Avery Flynn. It was all based around this promotion for the app called Bramble, I think is what it was called. It was a new dating app that was, hitting the city. And these our two main characters are actually set up. Their parents go on the app for them and set them up for each other. And they have to, I guess they don't have to, but they choose to do this for promotion for this app. But of course, each character has some of their own reasons. The male main character is a hockey player who's has to recover his reputation as a playboy. And I think the female main character was I can't remember what her conflict was, but needing to make amends with her mother or something like that.
I was thinking about movies, and Stacey, I know you're a holiday made-for-TV movie watcher too.
Yes.
I cannot remember the title of this one that came on Hallmark last year, but it was with Tyler Hynes, and I can't remember the actress's name. And they had broken up, and he never told his family.
Yes.
And they both returned to their small town, and he's just like, I just really need. I can't remember all the stakes, but it was really just like, I need you to play along with me for this. And like, they gave her a place to stay and all of that. And I was like, I really like that kind of spin on it as well. Like, a couple that's actually been together before.
Yes. And like, they were like, yeah, wasn't she a speech? One of them was a speechwriter, and like,
yeah.
And part of the politician's appearance was the grovel or something like that, which was fantastic, or like they had to go or something. But yeah, no, it was a really, really interesting trope, and like how they not only like were revisiting what had happened to them in the process of the story, like dealing with their past, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then they had the chance to make the right choices, which was really, really great. So it was like a fake sort of second chance, but not actually, I think.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I guess it's always lying, but the whole time I was like, you guys are lying to these people.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
And
was
like,
listening. I've never watched this movie, but I was listening to another romance podcast this morning, and the author that was being interviewed was talking about While You Were Sleeping, and I was like,
oh
I
my
guess I need to
God,
watch this
yes.
movie.
Oh, you haven't seen While You Were
I
Sleeping?
haven't
Oh,
like
Oh my
revoke
God.
my rom-com card, you guys. So I'm like, now I need to watch it to go on, stay on brand with like fake romances.
Yeah,
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, it's
No, it was like, While You Were Sleeping is so classic because, like, she says that the guy in the bed is her fiance, and yet she falls for the brother who is Bill Pullman, and it's kind of amazing. Like the course of the story is just really, really, it's just epic and classic. And watching the two of them fall in love and be like, how do we deal with this? What have we told our family? He is the golden boy, I am not. And it's like, it's just so, so classic. But I was also thinking about What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, which is
okay.
a Korean drama which has kind of a slight alteration on the contract relationship situation. Basically, like, our heroine, Secretary Kim, has been with her boss for a long time, and she's finally decided, I'm done. Like, this is it. I need a life. And so he's like, how can I make you stay? And she's like, well, part of my life problem is that I haven't dated anyone. I haven't like explored life outside this office, and I need to do that. And he's like, so you mean if I date you, you'll stay? And it takes a while, and the story unfolds, and it's gorgeous. I'm probably not explaining it the best, but it's just a really, really wonderful story. And you realize that both of these two characters have been hiding feelings for each other, and they've been protective of each other, and they've been like in love for the longest time, and it's just gorgeous. It's just a really beautiful story, and I'm really not doing the explanation justice, but it's that sort of...
No, you're fine. We can all Google it.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, then I think part of the funness of these tropes is it kind of turns into like forced proximity, close proximity, right? Because you're trying to keep up this ruse. And I think that's when you get those moments where it's like, I don't know, like the lines are really blurry. This is kind of awkward. I don't know how fake this is anymore.
Yeah, they're stuck in that situation and they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, it's that's another way of like you're talking about stakes before, and that's another way of increasing those stakes, like the tension and the stakes and the sort of the idea of like them asking, like they're, sort of like engaging their emotions, like, and so for some of them for the first time, and they're like, wait a second, is this real? Is this fake? Exactly. As you were saying, like this sort of idea of like, they can't get away from each other, but they're like, wait a second, what's going on here? And I think that like, that realization is one of my favorite parts of those books, when they're just like, or those movies when this happens and they're just like, wait a second, this is actually real.
Well, I mean, we're all book lovers here. I mean, Stacey, you're an author. So, I mean, like, do you all I feel like we're going to definitely pick one side here, but I just have to ask, like, is there ever a time where it translates better on film to you than in books? Or is it always like, is this a trope specifically where it's like, it just works so much better reading it?
I think it depends
on
who's responsible for it. Whose hands is this in? What are they exploring? Are they clear about the stakes? Have they given you a fresh way to look at it? Has the author like made you think about it, or the screenwriter made you think about fake relationships in general in a new way? Like what's going on? And so I guess I'm like, I like them both in the but depending on whose hands we're in, right? Like if you can suck me into a good story and make me believe what's going on, whether it's a movie or a television show or a book, I'm in. But if you can't,
Well, with books, you have to, it's a different approach that you have to take with the different mediums. So with books, you are allowed to be inside each character's head. Quite frankly, you should be inside each character's head. And the revelation of, oh, I actually love this person, and the conflict and everything is a lot of internal dialogue or internal thought by these characters, and that struggle there within themselves. On film, you have to show it in some way, in some visual way. Usually there's a montage involved of, like the winter scene in Beauty and the Beast cartoon, right?
Yeah. We love a montage.
Yes. Oh my God. Get those visual moments.
I guess it's just that, if it's done well, it really doesn't matter. Going back to While You Were Sleeping, you really felt the two characters falling in love as that story progressed, and you really felt that tension because this guy's whole family is essentially watching them the whole time.
Okay, I feel like a lot of, I mean, we chatted a little bit about weddings earlier, but like I feel like a lot of fake dating specifically. I guess there's a lot of fake engagements and stuff too, but I feel like I read a lot of fake dating and it's always something involved with a wedding. What is it with us as romance readers that we're like craving these stories set in the world of a wedding that's happening? Like, why are these so intertwined, do you think?
Brie, have you ever had to go to a wedding by yourself?
I've actually never like been to a wedding as an adult.
Unless you are really good friends with the friend group there, it is such an awkward situation just hanging out
gosh, is
by
it?
yourself.
I'm sorry, guys. I've never been to a wedding as an adult.
And also, like, it's a place that's such ripe for stakes, right? Like, stakes and pressure. Like, if you're a friend, if you're a family member too, like, it's awkward as heck, right? Like, it's awkward being like a friend, but it's also awkward being a family member because your family is watching you, and maybe like the bride or the groom, whoever sibling you might be, family member you might be, is taking a little too much of an interest in your dating life as they head towards their wedding, or maybe your family is watching you way too deeply, considering there is someone in your family who is getting married, and the question becomes, why aren't you getting married? It's this need to be like, I need to stop them from doing this because this pressure is driving me banana pants.
Yeah. So having that +1 with you is kind of armor against all the questioning.
Exactly.
Going forward, what do we want, or like, what do we think? How do we think these tropes are going to grow and evolve as time goes on?
Well, I think it's going to be trying to turn the trope on its head or mix it up a little bit. So Pippa Roscoe has a book. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out soon, but it's the wife the Spaniard never forgot.
Oh yeah, I think it's like a January release, I think.
Okay, and it's it's an estranged married couple, but the husband fakes amnesia to try and get his wife to come back and nurse him back to health or whatever. But she's fully aware that he's faking it.
Oh gosh.
So there's all sorts of tension just built in right away, but it has a fake element to it. And that Cherry Adair, Take Me, Blaze, how that one starts is it's the prologue where the rich man propositions the waitress at the 24-hour diner. It's like, hey, just get married to me. I'll give you $5 million or whatever, and then we just go our separate ways. And they do that, but they never get divorced. And it's like 10 years later that she decides she wants a baby, and she's going to make sure she has a baby, but her husband's baby. And she fakes this whole new appearance. Like, she had, the dyed hair and everything, and she was young when she was the waitress, and now she's, grown up a bit and has her natural hair color. And she pretends to be, she has money now, so she's just this socialite at this party that is flirting and teasing with him and just driving him nuts, essentially, because she's got to wait till she's ovulating before they have their one night stand. So she's got to keep him at bay for a couple weeks, and she moved too early.
I mean, tell me you're a Blaze without telling me you're a Blaze.
Seriously, oh my gosh. I miss those.
I mean, even hearing you two talk about the Mia book, it sounds like she took that like really important thing I think we always see with like best friends dating, or best friends to lovers, like that, like we don't want to ruin the friendship part of it. So like they wrote the contract into it's like she took that, and like I know that this is something we all typically see as them worrying about. So they're going to actually tackle this in the book. And that just sounds so brilliant and fun.
No, it was really, really fantastic to see it, like, and how very clear they were about what this contract was and what was so important to both of them, and that it was codified in this contract. And like, as I said, because both characters were attorneys, like there was an extra element to it. Just a really, really great book in general. And I loved how that was incorporated into it.
As a writer and a reader, Stacey, like how do you think the trope will or should like grow and evolve over the next couple of years?
So we talked about weddings, and one of the things that I think about a lot is how specifically certain, shall we say, certain cultures in weddings have been focused in on stories. And I kind of have a bit of a personal interest in seeing other cultures and their wedding traditions demonstrated.
Yeah.
So, for example, fake dating around weddings that are non-Christian. A Muslim author, I know Hindu author. Like, I love to see all of those traditions tied into the fake dating trope. I know Jackie Glau has a book about a couple that meets at a wedding, and it's ridiculous and wild and insane. So I love Jackie Lau's books, but I want to see it I want to see that trope tied with other cultures, and I want to see the sort of like the intrinsic sort of tension involved when families get involved.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I also want to see the trope tied to other things as well. Like, I loved the idea of tying it to a best friend. I love the idea of tying it to like things that we don't normally see, sort of the visible like conversation about what this trope actually, the questions of what this trope actually is asking about characters and their relationships.
Love it. Yeah.
Does that make sense in any way, shape, or form?
It does.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely, I mean, the wedding setting is so fun, I feel like, but it would be really cool to see it just different. I mean, I don't know, give me some Indian romance, Indian weddings, African weddings. Like, let's just see it differently. I think that'll be a simple but fun way to keep the trope going and not tiresome, like not tire it out. I mean, I think we have to just give different characters the opportunity to show us like their experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's it's not specific to outside of Western culture, because it's kind of in Western culture as well, but the older sibling still being single at the younger sibling's wedding.
Ooh, that's good.
That is definitely tension. Oh boy.
Well, I know last time we talked, Stacey, you shared that you're working on a new series.
Yeah.
So remind us all again, like, what's going on with it? How far into it are you? When can we expect book 1? What's up?
So book 1, The B'nai Mitzvah Mistake, comes out on June 1st, 2023. It's the story of 2 people who are forced to share a B'nai Mitzvah date as adults. One, a retired hockey player who wants to create a organization for Jewish hockey players. The other, a project manager who's working at a Jewish philanthropic organization. And he is the one who, shall we say, destroyed, whatever, her sister's career. And book 2, which is my work in progress, is called The Dating Contract, where the heroine's younger sister from B'nai Mitzvah Mistake enters into a dating contract with the guy who's writing the ketubah, which is the sort of central Jewish document for a wedding, for her older sister's wedding, who also happens to be her the high school boyfriend that went wrong.
Okay. So we're going to get book 1 in June. Okay. We are so excited. You'll have to definitely come back and talk about the books once they are out.
Absolutely. So,
are you working on one of them now or what? Like, which one are you working on?
I am working on the dating contract right now. Okay. And then book 3 is either going to be Dreams and Dreidels or The Dreidel Disaster. And
those are such fun titles.
Yep.
You put disaster in the title, and I feel like we're just like, okay, swipe.
Yeah. We're not sure what the title is going to be. That's the next book I start working on. It's partially based on a story I saw years and years ago about a menorah made out of hockey sticks. So.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, turn it into the dreidel, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like it's going to be looking at sort of all the things about Hanukkah people get wrong and like how we fix that, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since we have you here, I have to ask, have you had a favorite holiday premiere that's came on yet? I feel like the world of holiday made-for-TV movies is kind of a dumpster fire right now.
Yes. Oh my God.
Have you enjoyed anything?
So like I'm gonna watch a whole bunch. I'm away right now, but when I get back, I'm going to be like diving right into a bunch of them because there are really some really cool ones that I want to see. The one that I am most excited about, because I am that predictable individual, is called Hanukkah on Rye,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
which is the one about the two Jewish delis. But there's a whole bunch of Hallmark ones that I want to see, and I'm just really excited to like watch them and see, like, because every year in a lot of ways Hallmark sort of has been showing, like, has been much more innovative and aware of their audiences. And what the one with Tyler Hines this year, the three of them, was it Andrew Walker, Tyler Hines, that I really want to see that one.
Yeah, that looks good. I think it comes on this weekend.
Okay, so I will be.
Yeah, it looks
I'll be able
really
to catch
good.
the rerun then on Sunday because
I'm proud of all of. I feel like there's movies coming from everywhere. So I mean, I pretty much am Hallmark, Lifetime, and Up TV, but I forget Netflix has them, Hulu has them, Discovery Plus even has them. Okay, we're getting like Food Network stars popping up in holiday movies. It does not always work out the best, but I mean, kudos to them for trying.
They're not going to.
Pioneer Woman was in one last year, and I was like, I love you, Ree, but you cannot act.
No, exactly. I was like, no. I'm not going to lie. I was slightly disappointed to see that the movie Jeff Goldman is in is not a Hanukkah movie, and I was like, what? I was like, dude. The joy of watching him in the Guy Fieri competition show, the home delivery edition, the Hanukkah one a couple years ago, like, was just kind of fantastic. It was like, and I was like, what? Like, I could see this guy in, this version of Duff in a Hanukkah movie. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, tell everybody where they can keep up with you online.
So my website is staceyagdern.com. I am on Instagram as S. Agdern and TikTok as S. Agdern. I am also on Twitter as NY Stacey and Stacey A. Agdern on Facebook. And you can sign up for my newsletter, the MailChimp link in the bio that I have both at Instagram and at Twitter.
Are you enjoying TikTok or what?
So I'm enjoying watching the content that other people post. I have not gotten over the hurdle of posting stuff myself. One of my best friends is posting content with her dogs, and like, it's adorable. And I watch like other authors like do some really cool stuff. I know Sophia Henry has done some really interesting stuff. And I love watching all of the content. I'm not necessarily sure what I'm going to be able to do, but we'll see. We'll see if that inevitably happens. But I love watching it.
Yeah.
I feel for y'all because, like, I mean, Aaron and I have heard countless times just from chatting with authors, like, someone in the big publishing world is telling you guys, like, TikTok sells books, which it does. I mean, we can't deny it, but like, it's also super huge. So it's like, you could be making content, but like, how do you actually reach your readers in this world that is so huge?
Yep.
I don't know how you guys do it.
I think nothing is a sure thing ever. And I think if you're making the content, you're doing it because you found something that you want to say and do. And I think that's the best thing. And it's hard as hell. Like, I respect everybody who's making constant degree of contact. I probably should be better at it. But I will say I'm doing a series of Instagram lives in December with a bunch of really cool authors. So including Marcella Bell, who's Hanukkah Presents, I am deliriously excited to dive into when I get home.
Okay, I feel like we have to read it and we have to come back and talk about it.
Yes,
definitely. We love Marcella.
We love Marcella.
Marcella is awesome. And the fact that, like, her book was the first Hanukkah Presents.
Yeah, incredible, right? 2022.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.